I have so much respect and really just honor and appreciate how you show up in the world and how you've been able to take all of your life experience, which is so, your journey is gnarly. It's beautiful, and weave it into gnarly for sure, girl. I'm like, and I'm all about resilience and grit, like these attributes that you speak about, that you coach on, that you teach on. I mean, these are core subjects of mine too. But you've really, what I love so much is that you really live it, and you can tell, because not only in your new amazing book, That Sucked, Now What, which we're going to so deep dive into, but I know as a very deep thinker and liver, very, like self-inquiry, been writing my whole life. When you're able to create frameworks and you really create processes and strategies and tactics, and it's not just from like an academia standpoint or something that you learned, which also science geek, like, so I love your science is strong, like that whole background is so rock solid with you. But this is the key point for me, is like, man, but I can tell that you have really thought deeply about your own journey and your own process, in addition to all of the academia background and all that, and have been able to then present everything that you do in your work, which, again, it's strong frameworks, tactics, and strategies that help individuals around the world. So yeah, I mean, it's a long intro, but really it doesn't even scratch the surface to say that I'm so excited to be here in space with you and to get to know you more and to share your beautiful energy, wisdom, knowledge, and voice on my channel.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to dive in, love. I mean, this is, I feel like there's just, I love when, things kind of are able to get alchemized, but also where we then have a shared kind of common thread. So thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. My pleasure. You said alchemize. So, I have all these notes, which is so fun. That sucked. Now what? Alchemizing the moments that suck in life. So turning the hard into gold is what I've said. And I actually have like a little, because I love to do this with my guests who are authors, but this is kind of my little blurb: an empowering blueprint of self-regulation and embracing the super shitty moments in life for what they are and discovering ways to self-actualize and thrive from them. That's really, like my little bit that I took from this incredible book that you have written. Yeah.
It's all of it. Yeah. Yes. It's just, I feel like it's all of the feels. And I think so many of us and so much of who we are is because of, how what we've gone through and what we've allowed ourselves to experience and feel. Because there were even times in my journey where I didn't allow myself to feel until the pain got so big and so much. And so I think that, there is the beauty in recognizing that, the beauty in just looking within, and sometimes having to force yourself to like look within and look under the rug, under the hood to see, okay, what is it really that I'm actually so afraid of? What is it really that I'm actually not being truthful with myself? Yeah. But it does take a certain level of bravery, certain level of courage to actually, kind of go into the depths of those scary places within ourselves to be like, oh shit, this isn't working out. And I don't know either. I don't know what to do, or I think I really need to do something different.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It takes so much courage to face yourself, but it truly is, in my opinion, the most empowering thing that you could ever do. I like to think of, because it's just so easy to judge yourself, right? It's not easy to be a student of self, but when you shift into student mode, then you are able to, really just evaluate and really absorb your experiences as information and then decide, right, what to do. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I think that it's also to yes, be a student is definitely one thing. I think that now that's like the way that I operate. whatever setbacks and challenges and obstacles, come our way. And I think it never really was that. I feel like I've had to, looking back and kind of the struggles that I've gone through and the tremendous amount of loss, being super young, and then going into kind of the biggest dark night of the soul of the biggest initiation for me around divorce and heartbreak and trusting myself, that then I had no choice but to become a student and then vow to say, all right, I know nothing. I'm going to be a lifelong student, even though, from kind of the outside world, I had this hat of being a doctor or a dentist, a cosmetic dentist. And that was kind of this facade life that I had, that I worked really hard to get to. But I think that because if I go back another layer, it all stemmed from an upbringing with tiger parents and, parents that were immigrants, and they only knew like 4 professions. You could only, but I think that's kind of like similar to the Persian culture. Yeah. It's like education, education, education.
You're a doctor, you're a lawyer. Yeah.
Right. And like for the Filipino side, it was like nurse or any sort of like healthcare job.
Yeah.
And then for my dad, it was like, who's Indian, it was like, doctor, dentist, lawyer, engineer. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing that was acceptable. And so you're primed to think nothing more than these traditional confines or conventional confines of success. And you're the know-it-all because you should know everything. You are the doctor. Why should you ask for help? Why should you, go into therapy? Like, what is that? Why do you need that? And so I had to do years and years and decades of unlearning that to actually ask for support, but didn't come without the struggles and the failures and the setbacks and like the full on, literal, gut punch in the stomach of what is not going to work.
Yeah. Would you say that in that process for you, because this is something that, it's like built into the premise of your book, but it was really this, I'm going to be real with myself. I'm going to be real with what I'm feeling. I'm going to be real with what I'm going through. This shit sucks. It's hard. And that truth factor is really like the initiation to the pivot, the breakthrough, the, healing, all of it, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I would say like I wasn't really open to it. And I think most people are kind of in this, and for those of you listening, but I think most of us have to go through something, hopefully not after listening to this podcast and grabbing my book, maybe it could suck less. But if you're in the suck right now, if you've experienced a suck recently, and I'm saying any sort of suck where it's, been a hardship, a breakup, a loss, getting fired from a job, didn't get the promotion that you wanted, getting betrayed by a friend, or maybe got gaslit from a family member, whatever it is that made you feel less than, that really was unexpected in what you were either hoping for. And it can be a huge blow. And I think for me, I didn't, you kind of know. And I think, but the biggest thing for me was, wow, I've lived under this dark cloud for so long, for so many years. And I just didn't know better. I didn't know that there was a reality outside of that, because my life growing up was such chaos. It was such survival mode, having gone through losing 3 members of my family before I was 19. Yeah. It was rough. It was, I think looking at me from just, the other side, one can say, oh, what has she really been through? And what have I not been through? But to live it on the other side, to say, yeah, some really shitty, fucked up moments.
Totally.
Where I wasn't really ready, because again, this happened at a young age. Yeah. But I think what I really want to share is doesn't matter what age or, season of life that we're in. It's when we're ready for it. And I wasn't ready for it even all throughout my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It was in my 20s was just like hustle and trying to prove myself and trying to make sure that people wouldn't look at me less than. I mean, every young person, especially in their 20s, wants to fit in. They're just trying to find themselves. They're just trying to find their footing. And so I found the love of my life. But one of the coping mechanisms that I had was holding on to relationships that were not healthy because I didn't know what that actually looked like for myself.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid of losing another person that I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to whatever gives me love right now.
Yeah.
Until I recognized and realized hitting rock bottom, looking at the mirror on December 31st in my beautiful home that I got because I had done the traditional route of like the accolades and the success and the dentistry and the practice and all of these things that were outward success. But man, was I starving for just emotional permission and permission to just crumble and fall apart. I felt like I needed to be this persona that I wasn't. And I think also that's what really led to this pivot of unlearning everything and this pivot of really being able to say, holy shit, this is not working. And it's like a higher self of mine. It was somebody, it was like the ghosts of my parents, my guides, and who were ushering me into that next level of myself. Call it whatever you want, angels, but I think when you're ready, the teacher appears, right? The Buddha's famous saying. And I think also what Rumi says of, in order to, go through the pain, you've got to feel the pain. I think I'm totally butchering the saying. We'll have to look that up, but it's to go through it. And for me, I couldn't hide it anymore. I couldn't deny it anymore. It was like, this relationship sucks. It's not working. I am being threatened for my life and I need to get out, and it's just like a visceral, I need to make a decision now. Mm-hmm. And I think for anyone who's ever been in a toxic relationship where their confidence is so low or their self-worth is so low, something like that needs to shift and change. Because you'll read stories of, survivors and victims of these types of situations that they don't believe in it themselves at all.
Yeah.
And until something is like, ignites the spark. And that's, I talk about, when and how you can get ignited just by sharing your voice and standing up to that bully or standing up and actually taking ownership for your life. And in that moment, I had to take ownership of my life and say, actually, no more. Yeah. And I'm going to focus on the healing that I denied myself for 2 decades.